Right, today's hashtag MSW Marawa Sports Worldwide coming through live from Paris. Let me quickly tell you, obviously lots of drama, but we're going to have the quickest main interview in the history of the show. Because when you talk about somebody who breaks barriers of chasing excellence across continents, I mean, this is a story that kind of commands attention from South Africa to the very heart of global football journalism. But it's a journey that defined by courage, credibility, and that unshakable love for the game. And for 12 years, she has carved a path, though, through to the United Kingdom in the media industry, navigating, as you'd imagine, pressure, prejudice, relentless deadlines, and also the highest standards in world football. Well, she's emerged with respect, influence, and also a voice that truly carries weight. And she has chronicled, though, the biggest clubs, I mean, the most iconic managers, the defining moments of the sport. And yet tonight, it's not about headlines or exclusives. It's about the road travel, the sacrifices, the breakthroughs, even trying to break through traffic. Melissa Reddy, good to see you. Welcome to the show.
Do you know what? Trying to get an Uber today was like waiting for an Egypt attack against Senegal.
Oh.
It just wasn't coming. It wasn't happening.
You come with bombs, man. Hey, you literally 2 seconds in and you're already there. All right, I don't even know where to start now because of the limited time. 12 years away from home to make an impact. You've become such a global icon. Firstly, congratulations. How would you summarize that journey?
I think it's incredibly difficult. And when you're starting out, you don't actually give yourself the time to dwell on how weird it is to be in a totally different culture, surroundings, just the way people talk, the things they do when they're not working. It's so alien to how we would do things in South Africa. You get homesick, but you literally have to park all of that, because if you dwell on any of those things, you'd just want to pack up and go back home. That was never an option for me. I thought, regardless of what gets thrown my way, this is what I want to be doing. It's where I feel I belong. I love the Premier League. I want to be reporting about the Premier League's big clubs, biggest names, want to be sitting across from them. And at that period of time, not only was there no one foreign, there weren't really any women in the press boxes. I can remember two, Amy and Louise. One did Newcastle, one did Arsenal, but they actually weren't going home and away to cover games. And they were both British, so there wasn't anybody that looked like me at all. And one of my first experiences, I was at Melwood for the first press conference I'd covered. And after the press conference, I heard one of the journalists say to the press officer, "Why are you letting them come over here and take our jobs? It's just because you want a little lick, don't you?" And he did the whole tongue thing. And he said it so loud because he did want me to hear. He wanted me to feel uncomfortable and out of place and like I didn't belong. And that was the reality of the time. That was just the norm. And I have to say, there were people like the press officer at Liverpool at the time, people that worked for the club, and lots of other clubs that didn't actually think that way. They looked at the quality of your work and they judged you based on that rather than where you were from. But to break into the actual field in terms of newspaper reporting, press box, let alone TV wasn't even an option at that point, neither was radio, because those doors were absolutely bolted down. And it's really interesting to see the sea change over the last few years, because I think what happened, Raheem Sterling, I don't know if people remember, he did that post where he juxtaposed how a white player is treated and reported on versus a black player. And the industry in the UK thought, we need more diverse voices to represent stories better. And the interesting thing is, I think there's another cultural shift at the moment when you look at what's going on in the US with Donald Trump, in the UK with reform, right wing and being anti-everything anti-immigrants, being Islamophobic, being misogynistic, all those things. That's currently in. And sometimes you see the landscape of our industry mirroring what's popular, which is very unfortunate.
That's tragic, though, because just those words that you mentioned early on, I mean, we don't have time to dwell on them, but they sound pretty much what a Joey Barton has been going through in attacking female sportscasters, in saying very derogatory things about them, which has landed in high court. I think your case went to the high court. There have been others as well that have been going through the same. How far is that case, and how did that personally affect you, given the person who's Joey Barton? I personally don't like him. I've said a couple of things on Twitter back to him where I just found him to be a very rude man. And he's directly now been affected in something that involves you.
Yeah, so with Joey Barton, he obviously went on a rampage against female analysts, presenters, anyone who had any sort of presence. And that is a reflection on himself, because he can't get a job in the industry because he's not good enough, and that's the reality. No one's avoided hiring him because they need to give the job to a woman. If you watch any of the stuff he does, who on earth wants to listen to that or wants to watch that? You're not good enough. That's why you don't have a job. I actually didn't take libel action against him. I was warned not to, because he is a very violent, despicable person with his family history speaks for itself. However, the cases that were laid against him have been successful. And what Joey Barton represents, there are lots of people who feel like him and say the things he says. They just don't disseminate it to 2 million followers plus like he has. And I feel it's actually quite horrendous that men can just say anything about women. So the stuff Joey Barton said about me was incredibly sexualized, incredibly false, fabricated, just pulled out of thin air. And he can just say that and without consequence, and you have people parroting it. And, we have limited time, but it's good that people will always show themselves, because I tweeted about Sadio Mane yesterday, because once again, he comes up clutch. He delivers at AFCON. If anyone knows my Twitter handle, go and look at that tweet, read the replies to that tweet, and that will just tell you everything I know. Because I'm a female that once interviewed Sadio Mane, I was put into this fake relationship.
Oh, you were supposed to be married to Sadio Mane.
Yeah, I wasn't even invited to my own wedding. My family is still angry because they weren't invited either. My whole existence was a lie as well, because they said I was a Sudanese beauty when I was convinced I'm South African.
Yeah.
So it's a weird sort of thing. All I do is talk about football, right? It's all I've ever done. I've loved it. To just be doing that, and then to have people creating these alternate realities for you and believing so heavily in it and wanting to undercut your career at every avenue based on these, false things that they've just plucked out of thin air.
So this happened as early as last night when you tweeted.
I tweeted about Sadio Mane last night.
So the same kind of stories.
Go look at the replies under that tweet, and it will tell you that men just feel like they can say whatever and get away with it. And, you gave me a beautiful introduction based on the reality of my career and what I've achieved. And then you have so many people, despite all your sacrifices, despite every bit of body of work that you've done for over a decade, will want to basically frame you as Sadio Mane's side piece or Sadio Mane's ex-flail. That's what and this is a very sad state of affairs if you do actually want to put yourself out there, if you do want to go and prosper and succeed. Because the other thing is, if you do it if you go and you be a wallflower and you never have an opinion and you're quiet and you
They're happy with that.
do as you're told, when you stay within the margins, that's fine. But when you're like, no, I'm not dimming my light for anyone. I've sacrificed everything. I gave up my family, my friends, my comfort, my country that I love so much to go and make something out of my career. I'm not letting you now want to, put me in a box.
They don't remember the Melissa Reddy that wrote the Jürgen Klopp book. They don't remember that because it is so easy to forget. They don't remember your deputy editorship at Kickoff magazine, Africa's biggest football publication at the time, and also the various roles that you've had and you've occupied almost kind of propelled you to a leadership position within a couple of years or months after you had taken office of your role at Liverpool as a media officer, as a correspondent, so many different broadcasters you've been able to be with internationally. They're very quick to forget because, dare we say, maybe there was another side of your mind that you were talking very sweet things to in their imaginations.
Do you know what? It's really weird you say that. I'm an actual whole author. I've written a best-selling book that's been translated translated into 8 languages across the world. I will still get people nearly on a daily basis telling me I'm reading off a teleprompter and somebody's written my scripts for me. Guys, I'm a writer. That's like what I do. I don't need anyone to write my scripts for me.
And you were nominated for the category of Best Writer category of Football Supporters Association Awards. I had to just put that in there. Sorry, Melissa, carry on.
But yeah, it used to make me laugh because you'd be pitch side and you'd like deliver this live account of something and you'd get a response. Oh, whoever did the work on the teleprompter, that was a great job, whoever wrote that script. And I'm like, if you think teleprompters are being carried pitch side,
imagine.
You clearly
you're looking at a camera lens the whole time. There's no such a thing. So, but in essence, and I'm going to hold you down to this, we're going to come to the UK, we're going to come and raid your apartment and find you and come and do a full hour and a half for all our listeners on #MSW. But when you summarize the kind of impact that you've had, the journey, the trials, the tribulations, the sexism, the racism, the insults, all of those things, and there were so many headlines about you departing from Sky and all sorts of nonsensical things, if I can wrap it up like that. What lesson do you come out with, and where do you see Melissa in 2026?
I think the main takeaways for me is that your reality is yours. The outside world and people who don't have a clue, they can think whatever they want to think. They can marry me off. They can think I got fired. They can think I read off a teleprompter. It's actually quite funny. It amuses me because it's so far from the actual truth. So that's one part of it. The other thing is what I'm most proud of, and I get asked this often, and people think I'm going to respond with, oh, I've got a best-selling book, I did an award-winning podcast. No. What I'm most proud of is that I'm true to myself, I'm true to my values, I'm true to where I come from. I don't keep quiet. If somebody of status who's a huge former player or something, who might even be a colleague where I work, if he's saying something that's factually incorrect about Africa or an African player, I don't keep quiet. I say something. And for me, the fact that I'm still fiercely, proudly South African, the fact that I still stand up for what I know to be right and true is the best thing. And for all the struggles, for all the things that I've been through, and for all the successes, the good and the bad, that I am still Melissa Reddy in the truest, purest form is the best thing. So what I would say to people is, when you are chasing something, whether you attain it or you get it and you want more, through that entire process, shut out the external noise, listen to yourself, But more than anything, in that chase, don't lose who you are, because that's all you have.
Oh, all right. Melissa Reddy, that's all you've given us. Never mind, that's all you have. That's all you've given us here today. But we'll take a little bite of that apple. And all I can say is that author and Premier League senior reporter Melissa Reddy, a great honor and obviously part of something really spectacular with Netflix, with Africa Cup of Nations and The Daily Show and so on and so on. All these beautiful things we didn't get to talk about. But tune in to Marawa Sports Worldwide again tomorrow. Hey, it's probably brought to you by Hollywood Bets.
Robert Marawa, live on 947.